Constitutional rights must be understood from an information processing perspective, highlighting the process of design. I'm quoting from a new book by my guest in studio, Mikhailo Stevenson Klein, and we're continuing our conversation about whether or not the constitutional rights that are designated and articulated in the First, Fourth, and 14th Amendment are sufficient to protect us from all of the gadgets, gizmos, things that go hum and buzz and things that capture information. Mr. Klein, in his book, is of the opinion, no, we are not sufficiently covered, and he proposes nothing less than the 28th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. So, Mikhailo, returning to our conversation, give us some examples of the constitutional rights embedded in software design, and if you could be specific as to how can software design protect our First, Fourth, and 28th Amendment rights.
Okay. Well, your rights are clarified by the Constitution. Well, so what? Who cares? Do you actually have any idea what's going on your computer? I don't. Mm-hmm. I've worked in computers for many years, mm-hmm. but I don't know exactly what's going on in my computer. Mm-hmm. Really, our position is one of, I have a right to privacy. Please don't take advantage of me. Mm-hmm. But that's ridiculous.
Right. That's not a guarantee or protection.
In the virtual world, we live in a world without walls. Mm-hmm. And in order to protect our privacy, all these issues that we see, bullying, loss of privacy, software piracy, are all issues created by this new medium, this universal space in which there are no walls. How do we protect privacy? How do we protect ourselves? In essence, by creating walls. Let me tell you a little story.
Okay.
There was a priest, and or there was a woman, and this is from the movie Doubt.
I know the story.
You know the story? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
So there's
an
old Irish priest directing penance for one of the parishioners who is guilty of spreading rumors. So he says, take a pillow to the rooftop, cut it open with a knife, and empty it out. Well, the feathers are blown in the wind, down the street, all through the city. So she returns, and the priest tells the priest that the feathers have blown away in the wind, and he orders her to collect the feathers and put them back in the pillowcase.
Impossible.
But she protests. It's impossible. The wind has scattered the feathers so widely she doesn't know where all of them have blown.
Mm-hmm. So analogically, this is what happens when we transmit information in the virtual world.
Yes. So how do we address this problem? We erect walls as we have done time immemorial. Mm-hmm. So in order to address important online boundaries, we need to manufacture boundaries. Mm-hmm. And how do we do that? Well, digital rights management, kind of a bad word. We may use digital rights management to protect our basic rights.
Mm-hmm. What is digital rights management?
Well,
why do we? That's a good phrase, but I don't know what it really means.
I don't think it's a good phrase. It's a really bad term.
Good. Then suggest a better one. Okay.
Nevertheless, that's what people generally use. Digital rights management is often used to prevent information from being passed from one person to another. Mm-hmm. In the music industry, they attempt to put digital rights management on your computer to keep me from sharing music files with you. Mm-hmm. And it's something we're really very uneasy with because digital rights management has used primarily as a tool to protect the rights of corporations.
Advertising.
Not as a tool to protect the rights of all. Mm-hmm. But if digital rights management is used as a tool to protect all, mm-hmm.
let
me tell you another story here.
Good. Okay. I like your stories.
So Jesse Logan.
Yeah, Jesse Logan. Go ahead.
Okay. So Jesse Logan, high school girl. So here I'm going to go ahead and read.
Yeah,
Jessie agreed to do a story with us about kids using their cell phones to take nude pictures of themselves. Jessie did it, thinking only her boyfriend would see it. But in the world of technology and kids being cruel, Jessie's private pictures were sent to hundreds of thousands of cell phones to schools all over the city for everyone to see. We protected her identity, but she was clearly humiliated. I still get harassed and stuff. And I just want to make sure that no one else will ever have to go through this again. But at home, at school, with her friends, the teasing and taunting continued long after the interview. Cynthia's her mother calls it torture. She was called filthy names at school. Things were thrown at her. It was so bad, Jessie started skipping school. Jessie silenced the laughter and graduated with her class at Sycamore High School. Cynthia thought finally that one silly picture was behind them. Every single place she went, they knew about the picture. They saw the picture. They knew about the picture. So the teasing continued. 2 months after her interview, Jessie went to a funeral of a teenager who committed suicide. She came home and did the same thing.
This is happening every single day, which what is making your book so timely is that nobody is addressing these problems at a federal constitutional level. They're just not doing it.
So and it's really, I think, a two-pronged attack. One is we need to clarify with the Constitution what our fundamental rights are. How do we understand these issues, and how do we address them? Then it's up to the design community to go out and do it.
All right, let me ask you a specific question because I get the overall trend, but in your book you actually detail the whole ability of the individual to protect and hold personal and hold private the administrative rights of sharing data. This is an important issue. So if your constitutional amendment were passed, then federal laws and state laws could be built on top of that or built in relation to that would protect me in holding private my administrative rights. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, administrative rights are very, very, very important. Without administrative rights, or if you were to have my administrative rights, you can speak in my name. So in a sense, you can deprive me of my...
It's like a power of attorney.
Well put.
It's like a power of attorney. And a power of attorney, if I had your medical power of attorney and you were unconscious, I could say, okay, unplug them, and you would die. Okay.
And I think that brings up an interesting point with law enforcement. The federal government is always, they want to have the encryption keys for BlackBerry communications. How does the government respond when threatened? Mm-hmm. Well, let's look at Homeland Security. Mm-hmm. Every time you go on an airplane, there are dozens of Homeland Security agents there to harass you. And in fact, interestingly enough, they're violating the Constitution every time you walk in the airport. Do they have due process?
Yeah, and they're doing it.
Cause?
And they're doing it. They're saying in order to protect the rights of a few minority people, i.e., terrorists, okay, we're going to violate the rights of everyone.
Well, and I think if we apply this strategy to digital media, we create a huge problem. Mm-hmm. Administrative access not only prevents law enforcement from functioning, destroying the chain of command, it gives the government unprecedented power. I mean, Stalin and Hitler only dreamed of having the type of power that administrative access would give. Mm-hmm.
So if your constitutional amendment were set in place, and then if federal laws followed on and state laws followed on that, then we would have priority. We would have custody as a matter of law, as a matter of due process. We would have custody to our digital rights just as much as we have custody to our free speech and our ideas. Is that right?
It's the foundation of a virtual society.
When we get back, I'm sorry to say our hour was almost up. We're going to go into the most important segment of our show, which is called the Legacy segment. I love this one. And we're going to ask Mykhailo Klein what is going to be the legacy of his new book. Stay with us.